UW360 is proudly supported by BECU, a not-for-profit member-owned credit union. Pacific Office Automation, copy, print, workflow, and IT. Problem solved.
Hi, I'm Samantha Rund, and this is UW360. We're in the School of Music building, where classes have been held since 1950. The school itself began unofficially in 1875, and the music department's first graduate matriculated in 1891. Later in our show, we'll introduce you to an amazing jazz trumpet player who's now a professor here. We're also going to take you to a healing garden designed by UW landscape architecture students, check out some opportunities for student activism, and turn a spotlight on the little-known Husky ice hockey team. In our first story, we visit a family who's playing a computer game to help scientific research. Fold It, a game created by University of Washington professors, shows that humans working with computers can solve problems that neither can do alone. And you don't need to be a scientist to play.
Oh, look at how
far away it is?
Yeah, pull it right up tight against that.
It's long been said that a family that plays together stays together.
And
If that's true,
start over on
the
this
Reddicks
side.
are off to a good start.
Look at the A right there.
Though it looks like child's play, this Seattle area family is helping unravel one of the most perplexing questions facing biologists today:
Oh, whoa.
how proteins fold into intricate shapes.
So now shake and wiggle.
The Reddicks are among tens of thousands of volunteers worldwide playing a free online video game called Fold It, invented at the University of Washington.
Boy, is it moving.
But while the game was created by scientists, most players are anything but.
I would say less than half of them have any background whatsoever in biology. We don't. And I didn't even take high school biology.
With respect to demographics, I mean, we have grandmothers with just high school education, spend huge amounts of time. We have 13-year-old kids doing really well at the game. The natural thing to do, and this is what people are very good at, is to basically say, okay, I'm going to open it a little bit. You can hear some of the bubbles popping. And now I'm going to try to push this thing in.
UW computer scientist Zoran Popovic says what the players do have in common is the propensity for spatial reasoning, something we're born with. It's a valuable skill in predicting proteins because proteins are made up of long chains of amino acids that fold into unique three-dimensional forms to carry out countless functions in the body.
And here you can basically see there's a competition of groups, who's the best person individually.
Popovic hopes his video game can attract and harness the skills of a variety of different people, including those with very little background in science.
If you ever looked at these biochemistry books, they're like this thick on average, right? So you cannot tell people, well, go read this book and then come play our game. You know, that's just a total non-starter.
Sheets together would be a good one.
So every new person plays about 20 to 30 levels that we have created specifically for the purpose of being pulled in and knowing absolutely nothing about molecules and proteins to the point where they can actually start going on to real puzzles.
Let it shake out.
Players are given tools to shake, wiggle, and tug at a protein structure to force it towards its most natural state.
Very good.
A few years ago, UW scientists led by David Baker invented a protein folding program called Rosetta to do this job. And they asked volunteers to donate downtime on their home or work computers to help run the powerful program, which tries out millions of possible configurations. But as volunteers watched the process on their screensavers, some felt the computer's approach was not always the most efficient.
People, after we had this running for a while, wrote in and said, you know, I've been watching these proteins folding up on my computer monitor, and I see that in some cases it looks like the computer is doing the wrong thing. And I think it's, you know, it's moving part of the protein left when it should move it right.
Inspired by these observations, Dr. Baker hoped volunteers might also contribute downtime from their brains for protein research. The result was Fold It. Through the game, people have proven they are actually better than computers at predicting some protein structures.
Foldit is sort of the first one that has shown the scientific results can actually come out of this kind of massive problem solving by people. But I think that over the next 5-10 years, there will be more and more of those things.
I'm going to do a science puzzle.
Such predictions don't surprise people like Greg and Sandy Reddick, Foldit players who rank in the top 100 of some 57,000 players worldwide. While they thrive on the competition, they say their strongest motivation is knowing their game playing has a purpose. Because understanding protein design can aid in creating new drugs, among other things.
It's very interesting to know that this might help. There might be something useful that comes out of it. We might design a drug that actually solves flu or HIV or whatever.
I don't know if anything I personally do will benefit society as a whole, but there's a chance, and that's cool.
Sandy and Greg also know that their problem-solving strategies will be analyzed by UW scientists to develop new algorithms to improve computer programs.
That human aspect of knowing when to quit and when to go on really, I think, is something that's very hard to program correctly for Rosetta, and something that humans do intuitively.
Greg, a former Microsoft programmer, also sees the potential in tapping into the skills of top players.
One of the things that just puzzles me about some of the players is that they can look at a protein and just go, that's wrong, that can't be there, it's got to be somewhere else, and they know where to put it.
The other interesting thing is that the computers do what the programmer tells them. So they have a particular thing and they keep doing it over and over again. What people do is they adapt.
And if you get really frustrated with it, then what do?
Start over.
Reset puzzle, that's right.
And there you go.
And that's sort of the exciting thing about this, is that it means that sort of what we can solve with people is still unknown.
And congratulations, you won.
Dr. Popovich says that hundreds of new players are joining the game each month, and that high school teachers have created homework contests within the game where their students can compete. If you'd like to play Foldit, go to fold.it/portal. It's free, and each new player has the potential to increase medical knowledge. Now, in our next story, we look at another kind of game. The Husky ice hockey team is a club sport started by athletes who play for the love of the game.
There's a long-held secret at the University of Washington, known only to a select, chosen few. Their mysterious meetings are held off-campus in the dead of night. They are the University of Washington ice hockey team.
I couldn't tell you how many times I get, oh, we have a hockey team? We have a hockey team? What?
It's really the best kept secret.
It's always kind of a pleasant surprise when people finally find us.
The team practices twice a week at their home rink in Mount Lake Terrace. It's an hour when most people are curled up in bed or on the couch. For these players, hockey is a passion that they pursue between the demands of tests and classes.
First and foremost, these guys are students. So I've got a very smart group of guys who love to play hockey.
The Husky hockey team is a member of the American Collegiate Hockey Association. Part of the ACHA Western Division II, the Huskies play in the Pac-8 Conference.
The teams in the Pac-8 right now are UCLA, USC, Cal, Stanford, Oregon, Washington State, and us.
You're right, that adds up to 7. Arizona State dropped out, but Utah is the replacement. Bottom line, the Huskies play good teams and are tough competitors, but they're not part of the athletic department. The coaches are volunteers, and the team members pay to play.
We do get money from the school, which we're extremely grateful for, but on a whole, I would say 95% of our money comes from the players themselves. They pay roughly between $200 and $2,200 a year to play.
I have $0 in my bank account right now, and I'd much rather take a loan out to play hockey than worry about eating.
It might be a player-supported team, but the Husky squad is dead serious about winning. In 2009 and 2010 tournament play, they finished runner-up in the Pac-8. Good, however, second place. Twice.
2 in a row. Miserable.
We want to win the championship, obviously.
Because it sucks to see the other team hold your trophy at the end of the game.
While that level of competition and drive in hockey might lead to bench-emptying fights, collegiate hockey players who go for true blood aren't tolerated. It's sportsmanship or suspension.
If you're playing the game right, you're not checking to hurt someone every time. You're checking to get a puck or to get body position on somebody. So.
Predictably, however, there is one team that brings out the Huskies' thirst for vengeance. And no, it's not Washington State.
Hands down, it's Oregon.
Every year it's Oregon. Hate Oregon so much.
Between full-time classes and, for the coaches, full-time jobs, the Husky hockey team plays to win. But mostly, without question, they all play for the love of the game.
You have to move really fast and you have to make quick decisions. It kind of takes all of your ability physically and mentally to play. Just when everything's flying and everything's perfect and in sync, it just gives you chills and you love it.
To me, the speed is unlike anything else. You have to think at full speed.
And somebody goes down and scores a goal and everybody jumps up because, I mean, you're brothers and it's pretty amazing.
I've been playing hockey my whole life.
I just love it.
Remember this. This was Oregon. This is one of the top teams in our conference. Okay? And we took it to them all night. Go home, be proud. This was a great game, guys. Let's go. Woo!
One correction. We're the best team in this conference.
Congratulations on the win over Oregon. Go Huskies! If you'd like to join the excitement and support the ice hockey team, there are plenty of games coming up. And we'll be hosting the Pac-8 tournament in February. You can find the team's schedule and other information at huskyicehockey.com. When we come back, we'll hear from Kung Vu, a jazz musician and professor with big plans for his students. Welcome back to UW360. Right now, we're going to meet Kung Vu, a Grammy-winning jazz artist with an international reputation. After living in New York and touring the world, he returned a few years ago to Seattle and the UW School of Music.
University of Washington music professor Kung Vu thinks Seattle has the potential to be known for jazz as much as it is for grunge and alternative rock music. Professor Vu, a world-renowned professional trumpet player turned teacher, couldn't believe what he found when he came back to his hometown in 2007.
I have been living in New York for 15 years, very involved in the scene there and touring all over the world. And then when I came back to Seattle with this position, I was pleasantly surprised and actually shocked at how amazing the high school programs are here and the incredible youngsters that are coming out of the programs. I feel like maybe this could be a little more clear.
Kung Vu came to the Northwest from Vietnam when he was 6 years old. He grew up in Bellevue and went to the prestigious New England Conservatory of Music on a scholarship, moving to New York after graduation. He worked with star musicians such as Pat Metheny and David Bowie and toured around the world. Today, those experiences pay off for his students.
Kung Vu has been probably the most incredible person to be around as far as he's an amazing musician and has toured and kind of knows how the music industry works.
Yeah, because it's pretty bare. You don't want to just go. Yeah, exactly.
Professor Vu says teaching influences the music scene in a different way. He wants his efforts in the classroom to help people stay connected to music and understand what he's trying to do as a performer.
He was very instrumental, I'd say, in getting us all to think outside of what we thought of as jazz at the time.
If everything comes together through the University of Washington, we can provide them with the kind of environment for them to succeed and make really forward-looking music, forward-pushing music, boundary-pushing music, and hopefully get the audience to notice and come out and support these people so that the music can really survive here and thrive.
He's a natural teacher. In just 3 short years at the University of Washington School of Music, Kung Vu has been given the Distinguished Teaching Award. The honor is given to faculty members who show a mastery of their subject and a passion for teaching.
He brings with him just this incredible source of energy and inspiration for all the students, and everybody that I know is really inspired by him. So he's kind of just the foundation for all of this.
Kung Vu encourages his students to become part of the local music scene. At the U District's Cafe Racer, a group of them started Racer Sessions. It's a weekly event that allows students and other musicians to display their improvisational skills.
Kung gave us a lot of good ideas that ended up causing us to search further in this unknown world of improvisation. He would teach classes where we would just focus on these like exercises to, improve our listening as a group, to be able to function freely improvising and still trying to make it sound like a piece of music.
Kung himself is still touring when he's not teaching, and he wants to inspire his students and the local jazz scene to dream big.
There's a crop of youngsters, and a lot of them coming out of the UW, who are incredible musicians, intent on bringing back the scene and the creative energy and the excitement that happens with every kind of artistic movement, whether it was the Viennese School of Classical Composition or the arts, where it's a group of forward-thinking avant-garde artists coming together to form a social hang, and that generates an audience, and that generates a music that is forward-looking. And this is happening right now, today, and Seattle is an exciting place to be right now.
Jazz is one of the many exciting programs at the University of Washington School of Music. There are music events on campus throughout the year, with performances by faculty, students, and guest artists. For more information and for a schedule, go to music.washington.edu. You'll find something you like. Now, in our next story, student reporter Kim Spalding takes a look at some of the opportunities for student activities beyond the classroom.
Any day at lunchtime, students can come from all over campus here to Red Square and see all sorts of different student organizations and have a chance to become part of something different.
This is ACAS, and it's the Association of Central Asian Students at UW.
From sororities to sports clubs to social service, students can find something that interests them. Here are just a few clubs we found in Red Square one day.
WashBurg stands for the Washington Public Interest Research Group. So we are a student-directed and student-funded, nonpartisan group working to solve real social problems. So there's tons of problems right now, like the rising costs of higher education and textbooks.
Today is our voter registration drive because it's the last day for that. And we also work on homelessness issues,
climate change, and how the Washington State Legislature works.
My job is the grassroots coordinator for the No Drills, No Spills campaign.
Learning how politics works from the ground up.
Whether or not you're a student or like a teacher, anybody, you can get involved with your community. And this is just one outlet for people to go out and do things that they feel like they need to kind of instigate change,
Diversity is one of the benefits of attending a large university. That includes diversity of interests, which UW students can explore through clubs and organizations.
Q Center is a resource center for queer and allied students. And so lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people that go to school here can utilize the Q Center, as well as the community and straight allies.
There's been a lot of suicides and stuff that's been happening recently, and a lot of violence. And we want to change that.
Basically, we're trying to set up positive messages about queer identity to reinforce that it's okay to be who you are, it's okay to be queer, it's okay to be an ally.
Not just queer students, but all the students coming together, and that's what we really want.
Just trying to create an atmosphere to challenge all oppressions, not just heterosexism and homophobia, but all isms. So I think that's something that all students need to strive for.
Most clubs set up a booth for students to approach and ask questions. But a few clubs don't stop there. They come right up to you to get the word out, like the Campus Social Entrepreneurship Club.
If you're passionate about any social issue in the world, how do you combine that with business principles and create a profitable organization that also helps the world?
Social enterprises, they basically are businesses, and with the profits, they implement it back into their organization so they could expand and be free of funds and donations.
For social entrepreneurship, I also get to learn something special about businesses because it's still a relatively new field in business thinking.
It's really cool to learn about what you as an individual can do to contribute, because I know a lot of students don't really think that they as an individual can make a lot of a difference, but they really can, and I think our club just really gives us a way to give students an idea of where to start.
The way students can get involved doesn't stop here. There are countless opportunities available for every type of person.
Mixed is the multiracial and transracially adopted student organization.
And it's sort of a club for people that can't fit into just one, because there's a lot of organizations for just one certain race, and a lot of people at this school are mixed, so it's a good place to go. You'll fit in easily.
We have meetings every week where we discuss just issues about race or anything that people want to bring up. And then we also have a lot of events like potlucks.
Like, a lot of our club is based on trying to make a multiracial community at UW for people who don't have a racial community anywhere else.
Joining a club or organization can give students experiences that a classroom alone can't offer. And we're lucky that the UW has over 500 registered student organizations to choose from. They give students a chance to take that already remarkable UW education a step further.
That web page you just saw has information on many types of clubs and activities on campus. You can go to depts.washington.edu/SAO. And when we come back, we'll take you to a healing garden for families of veterans. Here on the UW campus, this memorial honors the 8 alumni who have received the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration for valor. In November, Veterans Day helps us remember what we owe to the men and women who have served in our armed forces. And when they come home from combat, they may have years of physical or emotional recovery to go through. Daniel Winterbottom, a professor of landscape architecture with a social mission and an artist's eye, believes that healing gardens can play a significant therapeutic role in the recovery process.
In the shadow of the Veterans Hospital on Seattle's Beacon Hill is a home away from home called Fisher House. It's a temporary residence for out-of-town families whose loved ones receive care at the hospital. It was once surrounded by parking lots and a strip of green lawn, but today the lawn is mostly gone, and these community volunteers are sprucing up its replacement, a garden that's designed to soothe and to heal.
This particular garden is to alleviate a couple things. One, the stress associated with a medical calamity, of which most are here for. The second is that they're displaced, and displacement has its own result, such as stress. The idea really of a therapeutic environment is to create an environment where people can come to terms, can reduce the stress associated with traumatic situations, and begin to have the capacity to address their situation and their loved ones.
Designing and building therapeutic gardens is the lifeblood and life work of Daniel Winterbottom. A professor in the university's College of Built Environments, Daniel teaches a special brand of landscape design, one that combines social activism and humanitarianism with the healing power of nature. It's a passion that began when his mother faced terminal cancer. From her hospital bed, she could see a single tree.
And she kept talking about that tree, and I realized that tree became a window to a world outside of the hospital, outside of her situation, maybe even outside of cancer. So I realized the environment is important. In my life it's been important. I saw it in my mother's, I've seen it in many others. So what I decided my career, my professional work would focus on is reaching out to communities that need.
To that end, Daniel uses therapeutic gardens as capstone projects for students about to graduate from the university with a degree in landscape architecture. Every year, his students design and build a garden, such as this one in Skyway. Central to any project is understanding community needs. They learn what it means to be a survivor of the Bosnian War. They learn what it means to live next to a garbage dump in Guatemala. Then out of that experience, they plan and create an oasis of contemplation and community.
I give them exercises in working with communities, presenting to communities, and then of course the difference is in most classes that would be it. You come up with a design. In this case we have to actually do the construction.
For the Fisher House project, students listened carefully to one of their own, Jerry Watson, a doctoral student in landscape architecture. A Vietnam vet, he gave his fellow students insights about the medical issues and stresses faced by veterans and their families. In Jerry's case, he related his own experience with post-traumatic stress disorder and the power of natural environments.
I've been hospitalized twice here for PTSD, and you know, it's the only place that I can really go and feel like I can rekindle my spirit again and find myself again in the world, because it's been very hard for me.
Both Daniel and Jerry see the Fisher House Garden as a first step. While the families of veterans need places of solace and contemplation, there are war veterans who need them even more.
I'm a Vietnam veteran, but there's Iraqi war veterans, there's Afghanistan war veterans. They all suffer from serious PTSD. They all feel disassociated from the world. And there's really no place for them to go outside of the walls of that hospital.
My hope is that this may become an intervention that we can use for veterans seeking treatment in VAs across the country, in residential facilities, in forts such as Fort Lewis.
Daniel has done so much for us to help to create these wonderful natural spaces that people can come and sit and just reflect and not be so caught up in the anguish that they all feel.
And that's it for the November edition of UW360. As always, we'll be back next month with all new stories. You can watch us online at uwtv.org/UW360, where you'll also find links to more information about each of our stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in December.